Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Lindsay, the pharmacist with Wellness from B Consulting, and I am so grateful today to be joined by my friend Jessica Kosine. She is a relationship coach, and she has more insight than anyone could ever ask for when it comes to building relationships, codependency. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and say hi. And this is for everyone to basically learn some tips from you, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay, for having me here. My name is Jessica Kosine, as she said, and I am a relationship coach, and I help codependents break free from codependent behaviors, heal from the past in order to cultivate healthy and loving relationships with themselves and others.
And you've been doing this now for over a year or two.
Yeah, I've been coaching for the past 3 to 4 years. And then I really decided that relationships, especially codependent relationships, were my passion. And so I started a little over a year ago with the relationships.
I love it. So Jessica and I have known each other since middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah, middle school. So we go back 24 years, 25 years. And it's really neat to see when you first started getting all of your stuff going on social media. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a great part of wellness and mental health, and everyone could learn from her. So when I asked questions to my base about what would you like to hear, and when it comes to mental health, I got a question from someone about relationship betrayal and how do you overcome relationship betrayal. And this one in particular was a friendship, but I think you have some steps and answers, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, a betrayal. And what is your advice?
Absolutely. So, the thing that I want everybody to know is that relationships are going to mirror the relationship that you have with yourself. And so, if you start to notice some patterns in friendships, romance, even with your family or your coworkers, maybe there's some disrespect coming up. That's a good sign that you aren't fully respecting yourself. So you can use your relationships like a mirror. So you can pay attention to how those relationships are making you feel. So that way you can do a little deeper digging to understand what you need to heal within the relationship with yourself so that you can have these healthy relationships with friends, family, and romance.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if so I'm in, say, pretend I'm in this friendship, and my friend does something that I feel has betrayed me. I look internally and I'm asking myself why I feel that way and how I came to that conclusion.
Yeah, so you want to really pay attention to the emotion that the person is bringing up. And when we talk about mental health, I really feel like a big part of mental health is the actual emotional health. So recognizing the feelings that are coming up. And so if somebody has hurt your feelings, you can take a deeper look at, what was the real reason behind your feelings getting hurt? Did you maybe not feel seen by your friend? Did you not feel that they were validating who you were? Did you feel like they didn't hear you? Maybe you felt like you should have set a boundary and let them know something. But if you didn't, then that's where, we have those issues within our relationships because we're not fully speaking our truth and honoring
Who
our
we are.
intuition and our feelings.
I think boundaries that's a key word when it comes to relationships. So after I look within myself, what do I do? I've identified why I feel how I feel. What's my next step?
Yeah. So really, it's not really my process, but I've done a lot of 12-step work. And so one of the steps in recovery is to do an inventory on the people that have hurt you. And so if you get hurt by your friend, you're going to look at, okay, why did this person hurt me? How did it affect me? Did it make me feel like I wasn't safe? Did it make me feel very angry? Did it make me feel small? And so, kind of making a list of what it was that they really brought up within you. How did that person really affect you? And then, what you want to do is look at your part in the situation. And so, as we mentioned, boundaries, this is what comes up so often with my clients is that, well, I got really upset with this person ultimately because I didn't set a boundary and speak my truth. And so that's why I'm really upset. I'm upset at myself because I felt like if I actually spoke up and set a boundary and spoke my truth, then this person would reject me. And so they are really living out of fear
Mhm.
instead of a place of empowerment. And so when you look at your part in the situation, then that's where you can make changes and then say, okay, going forward, now that I have this awareness about how people have hurt me because I'm not speaking my truth and honoring my boundaries or even setting boundaries, now how can I use this in order to move forward? And so, what that looks like oftentimes in relationships is if the relationship is worth salvaging, having an honest, like heart to heart conversation with this person and acknowledging, yes, my feelings were hurt, but I also recognize, my part in this situation. I should have set a boundary with you. And so you can set that boundary now. And then it's on the other person to either, accept the boundary or to reject it and then to go from there.
And you have to be willing to know that they could reject it. And this is better for you in the long run to know that this person and your relationship with them is not a healthy one, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I really want my clients to know is that healthy people will honor your boundaries. Healthy people that are meant to stay in your life are going to honor those boundaries. And more often than not, a healthy person that you set a boundary with will often say, oh my gosh, I am so sorry, I had no idea.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I feel like now that I've been through a lot of counseling too, I probably should also visit with you every once in a while. Because I think relationships are the foundation of us humans as social beings
Mhm.
and cultivating them. Um, but being able to say it hurt me when, and this is why, and then the other person going, I had no idea, makes you even feel so much better. Like they didn't intentionally do this to you.
Mhm.
And initially that was the reason you felt betrayed.
Right.
I think that's excellent. So, okay, I have notes here. We're going to mirror inventory. Yeah, I'm taking notes. What was your part? Set boundaries. And if it's worth, if they're willing to accept, then your relationship can evolve and you have to continually work within yourself to speak up.
Absolutely. And a lot of it goes back to past trauma, whether it was just something small, I got my feelings hurt with an ex partner because I spoke my truth and then I got laughed at. Or it could go all the way back to childhood. And so oftentimes, most humans have these little traumas that are going on that say, ooh, if I speak my truth, I'm going to get rejected like that one time I spoke my truth and I got rejected and I felt humiliated. And so it's really about honoring our truth and like having that courage to step forward and risk the rejection, because if we don't, then we're ultimately rejecting ourselves. And that's the relationship that we want to be the most accepting and loving of in order to have all the other relationships show up in that same capacity.
I love it. Don't reject yourself,
Yeah.
right? Listen to that inner child.
Hmm.
Those micro traumas that happen to all of us. And some of them are not micro, some of them are macro. Wow. Okay. So is there a difference then if this relationship is a friendship versus a romantic relationship?
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
It depends on the closeness of the friendship. The difference with romantic friendship or romantic relationships is that they are our most intimate relationships. And
Right.
so when it comes to honoring our truth, it can be so much more scary because we have invested so much of ourselves in this romantic relationship, assuming that you've been together for some time and you know each other quite well. You're not going to have that same closeness with a friend unless you've been like long time friends, but still you're not going to have that super intimate connection as you do with a romantic partner. And so it can feel a lot scarier
Okay.
because there is a little bit more to risk. And so there is a difference, but the process is still the same.
And
It just may be a little bit scarier to
like
speak
a
your truth.
but it's still honoring yourself. If you want to have a healthy romantic relationship,
Hmm.
they need to know when they hurt you.
Right.
And you need to know when you hurt them. Um, so then on the other side, I guess as you work on yourself, if somebody comes to you with a boundary, what is your advice? Like, you don't be offended by that boundary. Um, and if it does trigger something within you, if you could follow the same process, like, why would that trigger something within me, instead of me saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. I love it. Another
Absolutely.
question about relationships is, then I know that, like, parenting relationships, you and I both have kiddos. We're just trying to figure it out as we go. But as an adult, we also have relationships with our parents who are adults. So now it's adult to adult. What about a parent to child adult relationship? That can get dicey. I have some friends that have actually said, my mom is toxic, I'm done. they've
Mm.
had and that's sad, but it's healthier for them. um, Same steps, same process. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, one of the things that we didn't really talk about was, completely ending a relationship. And that happens, a lot of times in friendships and romantic relationships is we just get to a point where maybe we've done a lot of growing and healing and the other person is that toxic person that kind of brings us down and makes us feel bad. And so the difference with these familial relationships is that, when Christmas comes around, like, you're going to see mom or dad or your brother or your sister, right? And so
Right.
unless you intend to just avoid the whole family, these are relationships that, we must absolutely speak our truth with, unless you want things to be kind of
Awkward.
weird and tense when you're around that person. And what I want to say is that I I'm in recovery from like drug and alcohol addiction. For I've been this way for several years. And it's funny that you brought up, the toxic mom situation, because there was actually a point in time where I believed that we could not mend our relationship. And the beauty in recovery and the work that I've done on myself is that continuing to set healthy boundaries for me with my mom and the rest of my family really set the tone for how they're allowed to treat me. And because I had cultivated this really healthy relationship with myself, my family kind of caught on and said, oh, okay, well, I can't speak to Jessica the way that I used to speak to her because she set a boundary a long time ago and she's held pretty firm on that. And so I can't emphasize boundaries enough. You've got to set your boundaries. And then if they try to, come at them
You have to
and
hold.
thrust them, you have to hold that boundary really strong, which can take, some time to really build that strength within yourself to set these boundaries. But ultimately, we teach people how to treat us, and
Mhm.
that's through our boundaries.
And then so by repeatedly setting this boundary, like maybe it was worse before it got better.
There was a bit of resistance. And so when it comes to dealing with toxic people, or when it comes to dealing with really close family members who maybe they've been a little controlling in your life and think they know better than you, there is a little bit of resistance at
Yeah.
first. And that's really on them. That's not on you, because a lot of times with toxic families, uh, they kind of just want that reaction from you to, scream or react in the way that you used to. But when they stop getting that, then there's no reason to keep trying to push. If they know they're
Right.
not going to get that reaction, then they kind of just stop because of that boundary. So again, just holding so firm on your boundaries will kind of make them evaluate the situation a little bit more and realize just this isn't going to work, and they'll find somebody else. If they really want
If they're
reactions out of it, they'll go
seeking it.
find somebody else, but they won't do it with you anymore, and that's a beautiful thing.
And did that allow you to mend your relationship? Now you and your
Yeah,
mom?
absolutely. What's so crazy is that she's come to me for, little life coaching sessions, and she actually listens to me.
I love it
And, like
because
we've
she saw
tried
you
in my
transform. She saw
yeah.
you evolve.
Hmm.
I bet she's so proud,
Yeah.
but you're proud, and that's even more
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to take this away because I have some relationships that I've been mending amongst my family. And
Yay.
yeah, it's pretty exciting. And I'm sorry about the dogs if they go nuts here in the background. But I can't thank you enough for showing up today and taking time out of your day because, again, I think this is important. And I think you're awesome. And I love watching it. And I love taking all the tips. So I'll tag you in all of this. And
Awesome.
is there anything else you want to tell anybody who's watching?
I have one more thing that I wanted to share when it comes to understanding a little bit about your boundaries and your relationships. And that is to write yourself out a list of what you want your friendships to look like, what you want your romantic relationships to look like, what you want your family relationships to look like. Just make a little list of some of the qualities that you're looking for, and then make sure that those qualities you're looking for is the way that you're showing up in those relationships too. It'll be a little blueprint for you to follow when it comes to kind of taking a little inventory of your relationships in your life.
I love lists, love them, and outlines. But you're
Yes.
right. If you have these things that are core values
Hmm.
and somebody is not part of that core value, maybe you should reevaluate how deep your relationship becomes.
Hmm.
You know, awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'll put this up and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
Bye.
Bye.